Hey guys, welcome to another video. This morning the servers are down, so I thought I'd take the chance to finally make this video regarding the spec that I believe is the best way to talent your rogue for arena scenarios. Anyway, let's get right into it. Also, what I mean by best is just what you should have defaulted for the most part. There is some scenarios when you should swap out some of these talents, and I will try to cover that as well. First off, this is a spec that's based around having Gloomblade, and the reason why Gloomblade is so powerful is because it deals shadow damage and it bypasses armor. So most classes, like even leatherwares, have about 25 or so percent physical damage reduction, and so even though the damage of Gloomblade looks very similar to backstab, it overall just does a lot more damage since it bypasses this armor, and it also doesn't have a positional requirement. You can hit Death Knights for upwards of like 450k, you can hit Warriors for around that much. Its damage is actually competitive with Shadow Strike, but it does only give you 1 pummel point instead of 2. And then in addition to this, you should just have Vigor. Vigor is overall good in Arena just because it allows us to spam Feint more and maintain that when we're getting trained down. There is some situations where I believe Deeper Stratagem is better, but for the most part, most rogues just choose to stick with Vigor and never touch Deeper Stratagem, which is fine. You can do whatever you like best. And then the rest of the spec pretty much stays the same. We go with like Prey on the Weak for greater burst strength stuns, Dark Shadows rather, to make our Shadow Dance more powerful. And then Mark for Death, I believe, is the best option in the final row since the cooldown got reduced to 40 seconds. And some people ask, like, is Mark for Death still worth it if I don't have Deeper Stratagem? And the answer is yes. It's definitely really powerful. Even without Deeper Stratagem, you don't need that to take max effect of this ability. Although Death from Above and Master of Shadows can both be used in this row, and many high-rated rogues choose to switch that up, and they choose a different one depending on the situation. Some choose to stick with one. It doesn't matter that much. They kind of change the playstyle, but overall, you should just pick your favorite one. I think Mark for Death's the best because it gives the strongest openers. You can use it for a kidney shot, you can use it for an eviscerate, whatever, right? Also, I know some people have asked about Night Stalker before I move on to Honor Talents. And it's not that Night Stalker is bad. It's good for blowing people up in like battlegrounds and stuff. You can have some fun with that. But you want Subterfuge because the ability to toss out several cheap shots in like an opener or a setup situation is just really powerful. And it also is super powerful in combination with Thief's Bargain since it puts our Vanish down to 30-second cooldown. And I'll get to that in a minute. That's one of our Honor Talents. Alright, moving straight into the Honor Talents portion of this video. I apologize because, like I said, servers are down. I'm on the PTR, and this is a very old copy of my rogue. I think its item level is only like 850 or 860 or something. And so I don't quite have the Honor Talent for Cold Blood. Alright, for the most part, Gladiator's Medallion is pretty standard. Once in a while I'll go for Relentless, but that's mostly only in like 2v2 scenarios against Warriors. And that's simply because the low cooldown of Thief's Bargain and just identifying when they're going to Stormbolt, sometimes you can vanish and you'll be in stealth and be able to move before they can get you out again. Also, as a side note, this tactic is super effective if you're an Orc and you have the Hardiness Orc stun reduction racial in addition to having Relentless. Anyway, it's really powerful to avoid that damage that way, but it's also not very reliable. I wouldn't recommend it for new players. Overall, Gladiator's Medallion's probably the best. I don't like Adaptation at all because it's very abusable by the enemy, especially with classes like mages and stuff that have spammable long CCs that can proc Adaptation. And if you're ever forced to actually trinket, it really limits you. It puts it on a 3-minute cooldown, and that's no good. And then Reinforced Armor, it's pretty standard. You can use Sparring if you're against double physical melee classes, but for the most part, Reinforced Armor is your safest bet. Next option, Maneuverability, is a very strong option that I use a lot of the time against mages and such, but at the same time I really love Shiv. Shiv's a red slow effect and it's 70%. Currently our slows are probably the weakest part about our class. It's only about 30% in PvP. And having that 70% slow on that 10-second cooldown is really nice. And then Thief's Gambit or Smoke Bomb are very viable in the next row. Thief's Gambit is a really big playstyle changer and it's hard to get used to. I would recommend it if you're willing to put in the time to practice using it. It allows you to basically, when you trick the trade friendly target within 20 yards, you're going to be able to use your next cloak, Crimson Vial, Evasion, or Vanish with reduced effects on them. It makes the Vanish, Evasion, and Shadow or Cloak of Shadows last about 2 seconds. I think it's pretty small, but it can be used to avoid like CCs, and it's pretty good for setups with Mage Rogue in combination with Thief's Bargain. You can Vanish your Mage every like 30 seconds. And however, I honestly prefer to use Smoke Bomb most of the time, just because I've used Smoke Bomb for so many years, and I still believe it's a very strong option. And just a lot of people in the current meta are not used to dealing with Smoke Bomb, since previously we had that honor talent that reduced our cooldowns during Stealth and Shadow Dance by 33%. And so people still are adjusting to Smoke Bomb, and I believe that makes Smoke Bomb really powerful. Then in the following row, of course, I take Cold Blood, but I do not have the honor level on here to select it, so I apologize for that. And then in the final row, Thief's Bargain. Like I said before, Phantom Assassin, it does make you do greater burst than Thief's Bargain, but the 30-second cooldown on Vanish is absolutely phenomenal for setups with Mage Rogue and other like setup comps like Shadow Priest Rogue and whatever, right? Overall, Shadowy Duel, you don't want to touch that shit. It's kind of a cool option. You can mess around with it, but it's not good in Arena in my opinion. Thief's Bargain, pretty sick. Before closing out this video, I'll just head back over to the talents here real quick. And Master of Subtlety is good to swap to against RMP. Other than that, I pretty much always use Gloomblade. Gloomblade's just so good. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was originally, but that being said, I still will whip out that full burst build that I made a video on previously. I'll leave a link to that in the description below for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. The only other thing you really swap out here is sometimes when I'm doing Mage Rogue 2s, Soothing Darkness, I'll still use that. I know its effect isn't as good in PvP, and it's a lot worse now that our Shadow Dances are shorter duration, but it's actually very good in combination with Thief's Bargain and having that low cooldown Vanish, that way to sit out and recover some HP. It's really good for resetting when you're playing Mage Rogue. And other than that, really the only other thing you should swap out is the level 100 talent row. Death from Above is pretty good for avoiding CCs or crowd control effects, but for the most part you're free to play whichever one you want and are most comfortable with. I just think Mark for Death is the strongest because it has the strongest openers. Well, that's going to do it for this video. I hope that this was informative and it helped you in some way. Please feel free to leave a comment in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them all. And please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all again very soon. Have a good day.